All right, everybody, here we are introducing our covalently bonded unit. It actually is a combination in our textbook of chapter 6 and 16. 6 is just about bonding, and 16 is specifically about covalent bonding. So we're going to kind of smush them all together and make our own little unit out of it. All right, at this point of the year, we are switching from talking about our elements and shifting into talking about our compounds. Elements are all of those atoms on the periodic table and are like letters of the alphabet. And compounds are when you have two or more atoms that are bonded together. They either share, give, take their electrons. So these would be like words. All right, so you can see how those two things shift from one another. We will eventually get into sentences, which will be the same thing as looking at chemical reactions. So we kind of have to do the word work first. All right. And with any and all words in any language, there are rules. So let's go over those rules. All right. So first of all, there are two major kinds of compounds. There are molecules and there are formula units. Okay, molecules are abbreviated MO. Okay, very short, MO. They are the nonmetals bonded to the other nonmetals or to our element hydrogen. So a little review for you when you look at the periodic table and you have the left and the right side. Okay, the left side are the metals and the right side are the nonmetals. So we are looking at everything on this side of the periodic table plus hydrogen. Hydrogen is like always the exception to the rule. So if we're talking about water, we're talking about a standalone molecule of water. Okay, if we're talking about sugar, C12H22O11, we're talking about a molecule of sugar or carbon dioxide or ammonia, any of those kinds of molecules. Okay, there are a special set of molecules called diatomic elements, and they are a list or a group of elements that naturally exist in pairs. All right, they are nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, and hydrogen. Okay, they are the most electronegative of our elements. Okay, and we're small when it comes to hydrogen. So if you remember from the periodicity chapter, Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-A. Okay, electronegativity is going to decrease as we go down the periodic table and is going to increase as we go over to the right. And most of these elements are over here on the periodic table. They're actually known as the 7 at 7 because nitrogen is number 7 on the periodic table, and then we make a literal 7 on the periodic table. All right, so if we take a look at this guy right here, you see what I mean. All right, so nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine. It is these six plus hydrogen that's known as the 7 at 7. All right, they are always together. They're always written when they're by themselves in a reaction or whatever, they're always written as a pair. You've probably even seen this reaction. H2 plus O2 makes H2O. And then when we get into balancing, you'll know to put a 2 and a 2 here. But they come in pairs. They come in pairs like socks or shoes or sunglasses or pants or something like that. All right, because they have to bond to something. So if they can't find something else to bond to, they're going to bond to themselves. All right, you can even rearrange, you can even rearrange the word or the letters NOFCLBR and I into Brinkelhoff um, to help remember that. And you'll hear me say the word Brinkelhoff a lot. Um, when I was looking for uh, Instagram names and stuff like that and Twitter names. I was looking for Mrs. Brinkelhoff, and that was taken, or professor, or teacher, or something, or the Brinkelhoff. All of them were taken, so I was a little sad, but it's a very cool Instagram name. All right, the other kind of compound is called a formula unit. All right, a formula unit is abbreviated FU, so be careful with that. And that's when we have something on the left bonded to something on the right. And this is what we're going to deal with in our ionic chapter. Okay, and when we really learn our ions. So we have our metals bonded to our nonmetals, and you're going to see that it's not one specific molecule, it's actually like a network. So for salt, Na plus and Cl minus are going to bond together, and then this NaCl are going to be next to one another, but this Na and this Cl still kind of interact between one another, and it's this like three-dimensional repeating unit of these positive and negatively charged things. Okay, here's your calcium, here's your carbonate, here's your iron, here's your sulfate, and it repeats. So the formula is one little unit of crystal lattice. And that's where you're going to see this crystal repeat over and over again. Most of our formula units are solids at room temperature. Most solids at room temp. Okay, so that kind of helps us put that all into perspective. Okay, so we have our atoms, which are our elements. We have our molecules, and we have our formula units. And our very special molecules are called our diatomic elements, because it's actually a bond between two or more things. Okay, so next we're going to name them.